What's going on, y'all? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. Back at it with the Ancestry Anthology this week. Grinding through all the planar scions. It's the Ifrit. If you're liking what you're seeing, damn it. If you're liking what you're seeing, subscribe, ding the bell. Stay caught up on all your stuff for now. Let's dive in. Okie dokie. So, we talked about the Ifrit back in first edition. You can follow this card right up here. Their lore remains more or less the same. An Ifrit is a being who can trace their ancestry back to someone or something from the plane of fire. Anything from a magma dragon to an Ifrit. That's so confusing, and we're gonna get really confused about that a lot this week. Salamanders, Azers, so on and so forth. Much like the rest of the elemental kin, they are a piece of the extraplanar world made manifest, in this case, the plane of fire. The physical manifestations as such can vary, anything from bright red or brass skin colors, or even like charcoal colorations, scales or horns, hair that takes the form of coils of flame. It varies really widely depending on what aspect of fire is represented in you and truly the aspects of your parentage. But mechanically, the Ifrit is a versatile heritage which gives you the Ifrit trait, resistance to fire equal to half your level, and the ability to treat environmental heat effects as if they were one step less severe. For the Ancestry feats, the Bright Soul lineage, think of them as like the Sun Soul Ifrit of 1E, is naturally luminescent, which glows with the effects of the Primal Light cantrip. It functions for you much the same as breathing. It is involuntary and constant. If it's counteracted, it comes back in 1d4 rounds. This does affect a -2 circumstance penalty on stealth checks to hide or sneak, but also gives a +1 circumstance bonus on all saves against light effects and effects that inflict the blinded or dazzled condition. So if you're going to be going up against clerics with owie light spells, yeah, not bad. Just don't expect to get the drop on them. The Cinder Soul lineage is made of a matter that can staunch bleeding, purify simple poisons, and absorb acid. The DC for recoveries versus persistent acid, bleed, and poison damage is 10 instead of 15, or 5 with particularly effective assistance. Then tack on your innate fire resistance, and that's like a wide swath of the persistent damages in the game. That's not bad. You're not going to think about it, you're going to forget it, and then you're going to get a persistent acid dot on you, and you'll be really happy you had it. Elemental Eyes gives you dark vision. Elemental lore gets you trained in survival, either Arcana or Nature, and Plane of Fire lore. Ember's Eyes gets you low light vision or dark vision if your ancestry already had low light vision, so don't worry about Elemental Eyes. It's definitely not important to think about the one that everyone gets. Think about the one that you get. Genie Weapon Familiarity, like I've said a billion times already, gets you trained with falchions, rancers, scimitars, and tridents, and access to all the uncommon Geniekin weapons for all the magi everywhere who really wanted a Wishblade, which is most of them. Inner Fire lets you cast Produce Flame as an innate primal or arcane spell at will. Who needs to buy a bow when you have an okay charisma and can just huck fire from your hair at people? That's dope. The Lava Soul lineage gets a Magma Spike unarmed attack, which is an agile finesse unarmed attack in the brawling weapon group that deals 1d4 piercing damage plus 1 fire damage. Its critical specialization effect deals 1d6 persistent fire damage, and you gain a bonus on this damage equal to your item bonus to attack rolls on unarmed attacks. That's interesting. When I think Lava Soul, I think big tanky things. I think things that get bonuses to their AC or more HP or things like that. But then pointing this towards like rogue type builds is something you don't often see. It is cool. And I think that's really cool. Sinister Appearance lets you try to fool people into the fact that you're a tiefling. You gain the trained proficiency ranked in Intimidate. You get Intimidating Glare and a +2 circumstance bonus on deception checks to impersonate when pretending to be a version of yourself who is a tiefling. Okay, let's talk about that. On the one hand, this seems like a very big flavor fail, given how many things can produce Ifrit and how many of them can be innately terrifying. Any dragon from the plane of fire that probably gets something akin to Frightful Presence as it grows up. There's a whole Starfinder adventure path about how armies of beings from the plane of fire, something emerge from the sun and do bad things that you have to stop that I don't know the entirety of. But I do know this could have pointed to an Ifrit just as easily. The language of this points to, oh well, that's a tiefling. I'm really afraid of it. Oh god, in a not great way. Damn it, whoever wrote this. If this were taken at my table, I would point again to the examples I just made, or I don't know, your pores weep lava, and that is not conductive to most humanoid life. Oh god, what if it gets on me? Shaking my head. But moving swiftly on, Fire Sight at level 5 lets you automatically succeed at the flat check to target a concealed creature if that creature is concealed only by smoke and fire. This probably works with Obscuring Mist. Some GMs might be like, no, it's mist, not smoke, haha, but like that GM probably sucks. And if that's the case, the kid who grew up very close to the prairies in Kansas, well, his brain immediately goes to starting wildfires, which are really dangerous and probably don't do that. But also, if you've got to hit a fortified location, not only will the wildfire complicate things in a real and appreciable way, if the enemy is attacking you, but you're concealed to them, with you not suffering that penalty, that stacks up in the long run in a really cool way. Genie Weapon Flourish lets you get the critical specialization effect from all the Genie weapons. Heat Wave is a reaction. Once per 10 minutes, when an effect would deal fire damage to you, even if you resist all the damage, you get Concealment until the beginning of your next turn. There is some, like, maybe possibly tangential thing you could do with, like, a fire kineticist with this. Catch yourself in your own entirely 2 metal blasts. Take a little bit of damage, which you likely resist a lot of, and then get a benefit to continue moving around in melee. That's almost interesting enough to build around. Maybe. Skillful Tail lets you have a third appendage that can't hold weapons but can open doors. Charred Remains is a free action once per day. A meta magic feat. If the next action you take is to cast a spell with an area and the fire trait, for a minute the spell's area becomes difficult terrain and deals 1 fire damage for each square a creature moves through. Wow, that's kinda like the thing the fire kineticist does, but better. Ifrit Blaster Caster, let's go. Ifriti Magic gives you Enlarge an illusory object once per day as 2nd level arcane innates. Scorching Disarm for 1 action once per day. Attempt an athletics check to disarm a target creature. You don't need to have a hand free. If the disarm attempt succeeds, the target takes 46 fire damage unless it drops the weapon. On a critical success, it takes 46 fire damage and drops the weapon. A legendary athlete does 8d6 fire damage about this. This is alright for, like, an ability that never gets used, because disarming, not only most of the time the things you're fighting won't have weapons, but like the mechanic is really hard to make stick. That said, if you can turn athletics to disarm into athletics to heat metal, yeah, I don't hate that. I suppose it works on non-metal things too, so it's strictly better. There's a case to build around that in some campaigns. Genie Weapon Expertise ticks up your proficiency with all those weapons we talked about. Radiant Burst for 2 actions lets you once per day glow with bright light, and anything within 10 feet that can see you has to fort save against your class or spell DC. On a success, they're dazzled for a round. On a failure, they are blinded for a round and dazzled for 4. On a critical failure, they're blinded for 4 rounds and dazzled for 10 minutes. This is, yeah, okay, I like this. This is dope. This is, yeah, we're building around an Ifrit this week when we do the fire things. That is really cool. That debuff scales in a really interesting way. That's tight. Hey, what do you think Summon Fire Elemental does? Can you guys figure it out? Let me know down in the comments, please. I don't get it. I'm reading this and it just doesn't make any logical sense. Whatever could this do? I don't know. I just don't know. Blazing Aura as a reaction. Once per day when your turn begins, you blow up. Oops. Enemies at a 20-foot emanation take 7d6 fire damage on a basic reflex save. Allies are quickened for a round and can use the additional action to stride or strike. So it's not a lot of damage, and it's like a not satisfying amount of damage for that level, but if it throws on a 1-round haste on everybody else, including yourself, when your turn begins, just have 4 actions, you could definitely play with that in a really interesting way if you don't necessarily have a wizard, or the wizard needs to use their spell slots for something different. But much like a lot of the Geniekin, the Ifrit feel like they have a lot of tools in their toolbox to build towards very specific niches and be very good at them. And I think that's what you would want to see from, you know, the children of the elemental planes, right? There are a lot of tools in the Ifrit's toolbox that are great for folks who want to attack flat-footed things, which, I mean, truly is most people. Blinding everyone can proc the rogue sneak attack in a world where they can't set up flanking or stick the knowledge check. It makes the fighter crit more, it makes the barbarian crit more, as well as everybody else in the party too. This is a big debuff that I feel like could just flat win a lot of encounters, which is incredibly satisfying, and I super enjoy looking at it. I slept on this one in first edition. Usually when I'm thinking about building Geniekin, it's either the Oread for the like very good buffs to big skills and like a burrow speed and things, or like an Undyne, because I think the campaign will be aquatic. But in second edition, the Ifrit looks really, really cool. I'm literally gonna stop recording this video right now and re-up the kineticist I just made so it is an Ifrit, so it can do some of these cool Ifrit things. Hey, on that note, that's what we're gonna call this one. What do y'all think? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. As always, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.